Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to another Sunday afternoon chat on a blazing hot Sunday afternoon in southern Oklahoma. I'm talking 99 degrees, heat index up around 111, and as is so often the case in these blazing hot summer days in Oklahoma, no wind. I didn't even bother about hooking my microphone up. I got it on, but I do not have it hooked up. There's the end of the cord right there. Definitely not hooked up. When it's dead calm, you don't need it. There's not any wind noise that you really have to worry about. So here we are. We've had a good week here at Eagle. We've had a good week. We had a few more deer born, a couple, 2 or 3 actually. I think we're up to 10 now. We did lose one of the baby fawns that we were trying to save that we had brought up to the barn here and had in the barn. We brought up another one that we have saved. The other one was a little tiny one that I just can't believe. She was just doing fine, romping around, doing good. We had her eating well out of the bottle. And yesterday morning, she was just simply dead in the barn there and dead. And there's just not much we can do about that. We've had only 10 babies born, and we've got 7 of them still alive. So that's pretty good when you consider that coyotes alone kill over 40% of the baby fawns here in Oklahoma. Basically, every state in the nation's got the same type statistics, anywhere from about 41, 42% up to about 48 or 49%. And those are probably conservative. Those are all estimates. They obviously don't know how many coyotes the baby ones get, but in the research studies they've done, they've determined that it's in the 40%. So about 4 out of every 10 to 5 out of every 10 are caught by coyotes. Some of those are caught by bobcats and other things as well. I don't think it's just coyotes, although coyotes are kind of the most prevalent. Getting a little breeze come up as we speak, and it feels pretty doggone good out here, I guarantee you. But we've had a good week. Chris has got to wheel around with the baby some and enjoy them, and it's been really hot, but that's okay. We don't really mind the hot weather here in Oklahoma. It's just part of living in this great state that we live in. At church this morning, our preacher, Chopper McCartney, just did a fantastic job. I mean, he came to preach. This morning. He felt like preaching. He rose the roof this morning a little bit. But he mentioned a research study that he had looked into, and it said that 77% of the news that we hear in the media, I suppose that's basically television and radio and the internet, 77% is negative. Negative. I just have a hard time imagining that. I knew there's a lot of negative news out there, all of my life, America's been going to hell in a handbasket, and we're still here, and I've lived a long, long time, and America's still great. It does have some challenges in front of it right now, maybe more challenges than I've ever seen, but when we think about America, people are from all over the world are coming in. We got kind of an open border policy now for the last couple of years, and there's been 4 or 5 million people come in here. A couple million a year is what I'm hearing. And no telling how many they don't know about that's coming in here. But they're not just coming from South America. We think of mostly people coming in illegally to the United States. They come in, we think of the Latin American people from Mexico and maybe some of the countries that board Mexico down there. But they're coming in from all over the world, 150 some odd countries. They're flying to Mexico and coming in from all over the countries, the world. And so we must be pretty good. We live in a country we definitely need to be positive about and not negative about. And we got an election time coming up again next year, and that's one thing you do hear a lot of positives because you hear a lot of lies. You hear a lot of politicians out there saying all the great things they're going to do and the great things they're going to accomplish and how great they're going to make America, and then they get elected into office, and most of them do exactly opposite of what they campaigned on. But let's think about this negative situation a little bit, because, golly, I've tried to live my life, all my life, as being as positive about every single thing as I could possibly be. I don't see half-empty glasses. I see half-full glasses, and I think it's pretty easy to fill them on up all the way to the top. I sometimes see a half-full glass and think it's full. But negative is something we can allow to creep into our systems, creep into our soul, creep into our heart, creep into our mind, and we can make it a way of life if we're not careful. And can I tell you, I believe that negativity comes from the devil. A lot of negative things is involved around fear. Political parties run total campaigns based on fear. They try to scare their opposition people into voting for them, because if they vote for the other party, they say something's really bad going to happen. And we have had a lot of bad things happen in this country over the years, but we're still the greatest country in the world through many bad politicians, of both parties, I'm sure. But negative thoughts and negative attitudes and a negative way of life can become commonplace if we let it. But we don't have to let it. Irregardless of what you may be going through right now, irregardless of what people might be telling you, your friends might be telling you, you're hearing on the news, you're hearing almost 8 out of 10 things you hear on the news is bad, is negative. So irregardless of that, things are wonderful in this country. Things are so good, and they can be better if we will just get the negativity attitude and get the negativism out of our lives, just kick it out. I think negative thoughts come from the devil. I think negative actions come from the devil. Certainly fear is one of the lies of the devil. The devil would like to keep you in fear because that's one of the ways he can control you. But I think developing a positive mental attitude about everything is really easier than you might think it might be. You just think about what could happen that's bad, and then turn around and turn it around. What if the opposite happens? We've been 26 weeks with this deal through Chris, and she's just improved so remarkably. She's such a beautiful lady, and I love her so much. And her balance is just getting better every day. Her speech is getting better every day. Sure, 26 plus months later, almost 27 months now, she still can't walk. She still can't move that right arm. It's just like it's there. It's about all it is. It's just there. I think she'll be casting out there with that right arm. I think she'll be turning that reel arm right there, setting the hook and fighting those big fish. I think she'll be doing that. I believe she'll be doing that. I believe since day one she'd be doing that, even though the doctor told me that she probably would never leave that hospital alive. That's a negative thing for a doctor to say. It creates fear. It creates lots of bad things in individuals, but I didn't believe him. When he said it, I didn't believe him. I didn't see God written on his name tag, and so I just didn't believe he had the right to call whether Chris would leave that hospital alive or not. And that's over 2 years, and she's still here, and she's still doing great. She's taking a nap right now in the air conditioning, I might add. When you think about all these heat waves we've been having, now I know that there's still people in Tulsa that are without electricity and without air conditioning, but we have these giant heat waves that come through the South, and they've been doing it forever. And so they'll sometimes be a day or two or a week or two, or seem like a whole month, where it's just oppressingly hot. You get outside and your clothes get wringing wet that you're sweating so much. And except you girls are glistening. I know you don't sweat, you glisten. And but we have air conditioning in America in most all of our homes. In most all of our homes, we have air conditioning. We can come from this 99 degrees, 111 heat index that I'm standing in out in the yard. I can walk inside to a wonderful 72, 73, 74 degrees. We actually keep our house at about 75 because Chris has changed a little bit, and she's a little bit more cold-natured than she was back before she had that stroke. So we keep our house warmer, but I checked on the way out. It felt pretty warm in there when I came outside, and we just hadn't been home from church very long. And it was 75 degrees, but it was a hot 75 degrees, I'm telling you. I know, 72, excuse me. And I mentioned to Jack and Sherry, my gosh, 72 degrees, it's hot in here to me. And I said, we've been keeping it at 75, and that seemed cold. But, the great thing is it'll feel great when I walk back in there to 72 degrees. It'll feel great. And, I don't know if some of you watch some of these old Westerns and movies and things and see how they lived just 100 years ago in this country. Just 100 years ago. Just look back in the 1920s and then go back 50 years in front of that. And they couldn't turn on a faucet and get hot water out of it. They couldn't get in a nice shower after going out and getting all hot and sweaty and go in and take a nice shower and come out sparkling clean. We live in almost heaven here on this earth. I comment that I live in heaven here on this ranch, and I know that might even sound blasphemous to say that, but it is heaven on earth to us, but it's nothing compared to what heaven's going to be like. As wonderful as we think this place is, nothing compared to what heaven's going to be like. It's just going to be beyond our recognition, beyond our imagination. It's going to be spectacular. But we can turn a negative attitude, a negative day, a negative statements, negative friends. We can turn all of those around if we just will. And that's what I'm saying about this attitude thing. If you just develop an attitude of positivity, you're just going to be positive about something no matter what, no matter what. Oh, fell down and broke my arm. Oh, man, this didn't break my hip while I fell down there. Could have broke it, could have hit my head, on and on and on. You can just do anything in the world and turn it around. I remember so many people back during this ordeal with Chris, and some of them just blatantly said, Jimmy, give up, buddy. Chris is never going to walk again. And I'd say, Chris will walk again. Chris is going to walk again, absolutely. And here we are 26, 27 months later, and they're right. She's still not walking, but she is going to walk. She is going to walk again. She's going to use that right arm. She's going to talk perfectly plainly. She's talking better right now than she ever has since the day she had that stroke. But those people telling me that and trying to pass that negative is on. And you got to watch your friends. You got to watch your friends and neighbors. They will speak negative things to you. When you run into them, they'll talk about how bad the inflation is, how much they can't afford to buy gas, on and on and on. And pretty soon, you got all that negative thoughts running around your house. And yeah, gas is expensive. If you look at it, it's still about $1 a gallon higher than it was a couple years ago when we got a new president, but it's about $1.50 cheaper than it was this time last year. So, there's positives in everything you can look at. Would I like to see America producing fuel and gasoline and get back to where it was a couple of years ago? Yeah, buddy, I'd like to see that gas back down there like that. But when you think about it, we're complaining about the price of gas when we've got a car to put it into. We're not riding around in a horse and buggy. We've got a car, a truck we can put it into. Most of us got new ones. Sometimes we can't hardly make a payment on that. I'll agree with that. But at least we got something that we have to work hard to make a payment on. And don't let negative thoughts enter your mind. When they do, try to kick them out with something positive. Golly, I go back to the old story I tell sometime about getting fired from Chevrolet and the guys on the Chevy truck team calling everybody talking around to each other. I think we're going to get fired. I think they're going to break up the Chevy truck team. And I kept telling them, no, they're not going to do that. The Chevy truck team is the most distinguished team in fishing, the best team ever put together in the world of bass tournament fishing. It's just superstars everywhere. And they said, well, I think they're going to disband it. They're not going to disband it. They're probably going to give us a raise. And, of course, they did disband it. They went on to start to sponsor European soccer, and they got out of it, and it was terrible, the deal to happen to several fishermen. I just looked at the positive and what could happen, and I've gotten much better deals now with my vehicle than I had back when I had that deal there. And I got a better truck in my Ram trucks to boat. And I know some of y'all going to driving Fords and Chevrolets. You're going to say, Jimmy, are you out of your mind? No, my Ram truck is better than the Chevy trucks I was driving. But our trucks that we have nowadays, think about our trucks. It's hard to argue whether one brand's better than the other because they're all fantastic. They're all absolutely work of art. They drive better than Cadillacs. They drive better than Mercedes. A pickup truck, yeah, it does. So you can take any kind of negative you want and turn it around and make it a positive. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do this week in this Sunday afternoon chat. Well, I'm never going to get over this cancer. This cancer, I've been fighting it. I've taken chemo. I've done this, done this. Well, what if you do get over it? What if you do get over it? Instead, take the attitude, I'm going to beat this cancer. I think back to my sister who died of cancer. And the first thing she told me with a big smile on her face was, Jimmy, I win either way. I win either way. I'm going to beat this cancer and be able to live longer here on this earth. Or if I don't beat this cancer, I'm going to die and go to heaven to be with the Lord and to be with my mom and dad and to be with our other relatives that have gone on ahead of us. So when you have that kind of attitude, you don't let that cancer bother you. And granted, it killed her. And some of you might say, Jimmy, where's your God then? Where was your God then when your sister died of cancer? She had her allotted days, and she's way better off than we are here on this earth. And I guarantee you, anybody have a negative attitude in heaven, I bet you. I just bet you. Nobody's got a negative attitude in heaven. Absolutely nothing to be negative about. But we don't need to have a negative attitude here. Whatever problems you're going through, everybody's got problems. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. It doesn't matter how ugly you are. It doesn't matter whatever. Everybody's got problems. The suicides are very high among very wealthy people. I know some people that are perhaps billionaires that have committed suicide. And most of the rest of us out here thinking, boy, if I just had 1% of their money, I'd be the happiest cat in the world. Well, you might not be. if you could handle your problems in a positive manner, you might be if you had 1% of their wealth. But if you handle their wealth, you handle their problems like they handle their problems. They took their own life. So it's all about taking whatever your circumstances in. People tell you you're never going to get well. What if you do? People tell you you're never going to do better in life. Your finances not going to get better. What if it does? People tell you you're not going to find a job. You're looking for a job. Some of you are single and wanting a husband or a wife. And I tell you, there's a lot of good men and women running around the world out there, promise you. So there's a lot of availability. There is a lot of availability. During the COVID, that didn't run short. There's a lot of availability. But what if you do meet that perfect person? What if that perfect person is someone you're going to meet tomorrow? Griping, you might be complaining about your job. I got the lousiest job in the world, doesn't pay enough. I'm working my tail off and raking my fingers to the bone. There's no country song about that. And what do you get? Bony fingers, bony fingers. But what if you do get a better job? What if you do get a promotion? I am in the business of making television shows for a living. We've been doing it for 47 years, and it's the most difficult thing in the world because we live on a handful of sponsors, 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 sponsors that are sponsoring our television show. Some of them are real big sponsors, some of them are small sponsors, but they're all important to be able to buy the television time, pay all the deals to get all the television shows produced. At the end of the year, hopefully end up with a little money we call profit. You don't always make a profit in the television show business. I know just about all of the big time television fishing show producers out there. They're friends of mine. There's not a single solitary one of them made money every year in this business. Just doesn't happen. Now, you can work out there and get a paycheck every week, and at the end of the year, you've been paid X number of dollars. Well, if you're doing an outdoor fishing show or an outdoor hunting show, you've got some years in there where you did not get paid X number of dollars. You lost X number of dollars. I've been there just like everybody else. I went a long time. I went about all the way up from when we started back in the middle 70s, 77 or something, up to about 2008 before we had a year where we lost money. But then we lost money 2008, 9, 10, and 11, and maybe 12 also. I think 12 we might have broke even or shown a little bit of profit. And we didn't just lose money, we lost tons of money, tons of money. We basically lost all the money we had. I've learned in my lifetime that losing all the money you have is not the end of the world. Many people have committed suicide because of that, because God will provide more money. God will provide better health. God will provide better friends. You can get rid of your negative friends if you want. Those that are always complaining and getting you in a foul, sour mood and putting you in a negative attitude, just get rid of them. God will give you some better friends. But work on your attitude. When you start to say something negative, you're permeating negativity in somebody else. Don't do that. When you get ready to say something negative, just don't say it. When you get ready to have a negative thought pops into your mind, golly, I've got 20 minutes to get to church. What if I don't get there on time? They're going to still let you in. Can I tell you, they're going to still let you in. On and on and on and on. We worry and we have negative things slip into our mind and slip into our lives that aren't even important. It's not even important, really. I'm not saying it's not important you get to church on time, but let me tell you, there's not a Baptist in the world that hadn't been there late, including the preachers. They've been there late too. So a lot of preachers are saying, not me, Jimmy. Just think, preachers, just think. But work on your attitude this week. Negative thoughts are from the devil. Fear is from the devil. Negative thoughts create fear. It's one of the tools the devil uses. And simply turn every situation around into a positive situation. And one of the easiest ways to do it, when you think, golly, they're getting ready to have a layoff at work. What if I get laid off? What if I don't? What if I don't get laid off? What if I get to keep my job and get a raise? What if I keep my job and get promoted? What if I get laid off? And what if I do get laid off? I might get a better job. Turn everything you can into a positive reason. And let me tell you one of the simplest ways to do that. When you have something that's negative and you want to turn it into a positive, put it at the foot of the cross. Give it to Jesus. Give it to God. God wants that problem. God, they're having a big layoff down there. I know that if I get laid off, you're going to find me something better. But I sure like that job. I sure like working there for that company. I sure like what they're paying me. I sure like the people that I'm working around. So, well, if it's possible, unless you have something better for me, God, or you have something different that's better for me, boy, I'd like to keep that job. Just lay it at the foot of the cross. And then whatever happens, accept it as the will of God. Because if you do get laid off, just like getting fired from Chevrolet, you're going to get something even better. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one today. Go have you a great one this week. Wake up every morning and whatever bad thoughts enter your mind, cross it out with what if it does not? What if it gets better? What if it leads to success and not failure? And remember, God loves you. God loves you. God's got control of your life. He's got you in the palm of your hand. And I love you as well.